Very smart.
I
Very,
think
very
50
smart.
books is a good number of like, and I think once I get to a place where I maybe have $5,000 or $10,000 coming in every month, I might think about doing this like all the time.
Yeah.
No.
No, it definitely makes sense. You know, it's one of those things where, like, when I got to the $10,000 a month level, right? That's when I really started to say, man, okay, I can push this thing. Like, sky's the limit, right? So as you start to get to, and I was all over the place when I got started. I was just doing everything, doing just a bunch of different things. So I wasn't really focused. But when I got to that $5,000 a month level, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And I kind of coasted for a while. And then when I got to the $10,000 a month level, I was like, okay, I really need to push this thing because sky's the limit. So now, so you've got your series, right? You've got your nonfiction books, you've got your fiction books here. What's your process like when it comes to coming up with an idea? How are you coming up with your ideas here for books?
Okay, well, like I say, not everybody can do this, but I had an idea for a fantasy novel a long time ago, and people said that's great, but whatever. And so I had that whole thing, and so I'm kind of a writer. I have a huge world plot that I have going on for maybe a couple more books, but I think for finding like the nonfiction or stuff, I just I find a niche that I think is interesting, and then I try to look and figure out how can I like find something else off that niche, like something that's maybe detail more or something that's like I had a book that I wrote for a lead funnel book that seemed to be pretty good, and it was like just how to tell if a girl's into you. And that book seemed to be, I don't know, it was kind of a cool idea. I don't know how I come up with my ideas. I don't know. That's not a very good answer.
Dude, some best-selling books are dating books. Would you believe it or not? So I actually have so some of the first books that I started out with are music-related books, right? Yeah. Because at that time I was in the music industry. And then I started out with, what was that? Personal development. So that was next, because I just, similar to what you said, right? Books that you would enjoy writing.
Right.
Then I started to look at like dating and things like that. So I created a couple of books on how to date, right? And I kind of broke those down into different subtopics, right? How to date in general, which is very wide, but then how to date a Midwestern lady, or how to date someone from Germany, or how to date someone from Australia, and just really niched it down. And
that's really clever. That's cool.
Yeah, because I took that same content. It allowed me to take that same content and use the basic framework of it, but just add to it and change it up. And I was able to get a lot of books done that way. So I was able to get like 10 books done really quickly in the span of just a couple of months. And at that time, I was moving really slow because I was just new to this. I didn't have a Kindle cash flow course to refer to, and I'm just working my way through it.
You are the Kindle cash flow course. You're like the beta tester of that course.
That was it. But so I'm going back to this is I have made so much money. Maybe I shouldn't even be sharing this in an interview, off of a dating niche that it is not funny. Like dating it's our Achilles heel, right? As guys, we buy anything that will help us to get the girl. Yeah,
that's funny.
So that's it.
I love this world, the writing world and stuff. And there's so deeper I could go with this, because I can't wait to do the Audible book. So I feel like that's going to be a big thing too. So many things. But when I was selling music, that's the thing, is like getting somebody interested to listen or buy is so difficult in that genre. I guess you could do it maybe with Spotify. I feel like maybe we're both in the music background, did you find that, when you went to this, you're like, this is way easier than selling music?
Oh, it's tough, man. Selling music. And at that time, it's super tough. At that time, I was selling music in a CD format. So all of the music was it was tough to get someone to give you $10 for a CD. $7 for a CD. It was insane. Now you're loving your music. You think it's the best thing, on earth, but it's tough.
Everybody, so it's a tough gig. I think being that we're both from that, we realize that this is so much more doable than that. I want to still do music because I love it, and maybe one day something will hit. But I mean, that's why I'm very optimistic about Kindle cash flow, Kindle publishing. And, you know, I think that there's other platforms besides Amazon, but I feel like Amazon has the traffic.
They do. They have the traffic, and you see the thing with Amazon is they have a brand, right?
Mhm.
They've been around. Man, Amazon has been around for over 20 years. Do you believe that? It's crazy.
Crazy. Man, if I had bought Amazon when it first started, man.
You see that? So Amazon, you bought
No, I
Amazon?
wish.
Oh,
No,
I got you.
I
I was
wish.
going to say, man, that's
Yeah.
insane. All right. But yeah, so they have the traffic. They've got the brand recognition, right? They have the marketing budgets. They put money in everything. I saw an Amazon television commercial the other day. There's Amazon pop-up stores all over the place. You know, so it's definitely the place to be on. Now, that doesn't mean that you should ignore the other channels. As you just said earlier, you publish some of your content on another channel and you make money from that,
Yeah.
which is very cool. How many words are your books right now? Like, how many pages, words do you go for?
Well, you know, that's a good question, because I think I started trying to do the 10,000 words. I feel like it's kind of short. That's it. So my ghostwriters, I bumped it up to like 15,000 words per part, and I didn't call it a book. I called it part 1, part 2, part 3, because I mean, like in the world of fiction, I think mid grade is about 70,000 or 50,000 words, I think, in a mid grade book, but that's in fantasy. So it's really a short read. But right now, I think most of my parts are about 16,000 words. And I think some of them are like 20,000. On the nonfiction, I think the biggest book that I published was 30,000 words. I'm
saying about that 15,000 range, right? Which is
I think even more, maybe 20,000, probably future going. I think I'm gonna maybe focus on more longer. I'm thinking about doing a standalone book that maybe be 70,000 words. And maybe, I don't know if you think it's a good idea or not, following this series. So there might be a sequel to one of the series, but be like a standalone book. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. What, is that a good idea, Ty? I don't know.
I mean, are you going to spin that off? So it depends. Are you looking to spin it off? So
yeah, it's a continuation of part 1. And then what I did was, since I had a ghostwriter write a completely different story series, but it's in the same fantasy world that I'm in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of his characters and put them in my later book, so the people who read the book, they'll be oh, I know her, and I'm going to do things like maybe it's 50 years later, and she's in my book now, and she's an old lady before she was a young woman, and so I think it'll be kind of interesting to do. And
you never know, man. I would throw it out there. You never know. You know, you never know.